Hola a todos. When we talk about time management, what we often hear as advice, or what you can read, is to avoid distractions. Avoid being distracted by your phone, by social media, by messages, by all of these things. And this is true to a certain degree. But today I want to explain why it's not completely true and why it makes sense to now and then allow those distractions as an additional strategy to avoiding the distraction. So let's start with, why should we avoid distractions? Well, when we look around us, we have so many things that we could potentially do with our time. We can work, whatever you're paid for. We can meet people, we can talk to people over the phone or video, we can check our phones, we have email, we can watch YouTube videos, we can watch TV, we can read books, we can go for a walk, we might have hobbies, you might have children that take up your time. So there are so many things that can get us distracted. The question is also, what is the distraction, what is the actual work? Sometimes that's not so clear. But in any case, there are problems that we have by just being exposed to so many action opportunities. One of these problems is context switches. So when you're working on something, somebody calls and talks about a completely different topic, you will have to switch mentally to this new topic, to this context. And if you were spending your time just watching YouTube videos, and each video is 5 minutes long, you would have to switch mentally from one context to the other within 5 minutes. That is a lot of work. This is actually hard work for your brain. So that is something that makes us exhausted also, by always having to think about different things every minute of the day. So this is one problem. The other thing is, by just having all those action options, it can be hard to choose. Our brain actually doesn't like to choose between many alternatives. So, like in nature, we might only had, 10,000 years ago, our ancestors only had a few opportunities. Do I chase this rabbit or do I not? Okay, but nowadays we have all those things around us, and we have things at work. We can do so many things at this time. Do I finish the report? Do I start with this presentation? Whatever your job is, whatever you need to do, there are often so many things that you could do right now. And the same at home. So many chores that you could do, or just relax also for a change. So there are many opportunities, and it's kind of hard for a brain to choose all the time. And as a consequence of all those things, we tend to do small things. We have this tendency to just run after the opportunities we have. So just trying to work off every email that we receive. And that leads to a situation where we never get larger things done. So at the end of the day, we often feel exhausted, and we feel like, I didn't really do anything. You did a lot, but it was not one big thing. It was just answering one email after the other. And it might feel like not having achieved a lot because there was no bigger thing that you could work on or finish or really have deep dive thinking into something. And this makes us exhausted and we feel unproductive. So all of these things are also a reason why I recommend a to-do list, because at least you can list your options and really make it a conscious choice of what you want to do next. But that doesn't fully solve the issue, because when you have chosen, okay, I'm finishing this report right now, your phone is still next to you, of course. Your emails don't stop coming in. So it can be hard to still focus on that one task, even if you've made it a conscious decision. And the typical advice is just to switch off your phone, or actually even better, put it away. And that does help you to concentrate on a task. So it's not a bad advice, it actually helps. But first of all, it's not always practical. It may be your job to be accessible. I mean, that people reach out to you and talk to you. And the other thing is that this kind of suppression of deciding not to do something, that is a cognitive mental process that actually takes mental resources. And I want to explain that a little bit more. So there's a concept in psychology called avoidance. An avoidance is something that you perceive that you can do with an object around you. So your whole perception process actually is targeted towards action. So your brain constantly is on the lookout of what could I do. Whatever object you see, your brain will evaluate whether you can grab it, whether you can eat it, whether you can repair something with it. This is just a very natural process. So this is happening all the time. And then we have another process in our brain that is actually filtering all those opportunities, that says, no, I don't need this, I don't have to touch that, I don't have to try this. This is actually something that children don't have yet. So when you think of babies, they want to grab everything. And this is exactly what's happening if that suppression is not working. And this is, by the way, also something that animals do. So for a monkey, it's no problem. There's a banana, you see you can grab it, you see it's edible, so great, grab it, eat it. And the interesting thing about humans is that we can say no to that. We can leave that banana where it is if we're not hungry. Maybe save it for later, maybe give it to someone else. But this not doing something is actually one of those really cool cognitive things that we humans are capable of. And that is useful nowadays more than ever to say, okay, I'm not checking my email right now. I'm not checking in on the news or whatever I might be thinking about. But it is a cognitive process that has to be done, and it's a relatively evolutionarily new process, and that takes quite a bit of energy. It's not something that's very automatic. You may not always be conscious about it, but it is pretty high up in the conscious hierarchy. So in a way, we constantly have to say no to ourselves. It's like a kid in the candy store that gets constantly told, no, you don't get this. You cannot have that candy right now. And this is exhausting at the end of the day. So it actually makes sense to even hide your phone rather than just switch it off, because your brain at least doesn't see it. Problem is, you still have a memory. So even if your perception doesn't get distracted by your phone, your memory does. Your memory knows, oh, there could be new messages. Maybe I'm missing something. And so it's not the full solution. It's still saying no to yourself. Maybe not quite as loudly as you would have to do it if your phone is next to you. So this is the thing. Saying no to ourselves helps somehow, but it's exhausting. So what can we do? What I like to do is sometimes to switch to the absolute opposite, to just let my brain run free. So sometimes I just get out of this to-do list mode, of this organized, very controlled mode. And sometimes I just do whatever comes in front of my nose. There's some dust, I want to get rid of it, I remove it right now, even though it's not important. I don't care, I just remove it. Or there's my phone, I check my messages. Is it important? No, but I do it anyway. I'm in the garden, I see weeds, I pick them. There are more important things to do, but I do it anyway. So sometimes that can be really relaxing, to just let your brain run free, work like in monkey mode a little bit, not suppress anything, just grab anything that you like, do anything that you like, just because it's there. Unfortunately, that strategy is not the full solution, obviously, because we're back to our original problem. We have so many opportunities that very soon you will discover that you cannot do everything you want. You might want to watch YouTube and check Instagram and talk to friends all at the same time. Well, doesn't work. And so it's not the ultimate solution, but for me, it's a good way to alternate between the strategies. So it's kind of a mix and match thing. Sometimes it makes a lot of sense to be controlled and follow your to-do list. Use your to-do list as a guide of what your options are. Pick one and just do it. And at other times, just leave it to the side. Just do whatever comes to your mind. And during the week, like at working hours, I do more the controlled thing. But even at work on Fridays, I switch to the more free, bustling type of thing, where I just do whatever I see needs to getting done. And also on the weekend, there's also a part of the weekend where I really try to get my private things in order. But there's also, especially on Sundays, when I just switch off and like, I can do whatever I want. And I can even just do things without really getting something done. But often I want to get things done. And yeah, I just, do whatever comes to my nose. The important thing in all of this is that we are aware that we cannot get it all. And that is true for both the controlled and the uncontrolled mode. In the controlled mode, we might see it a little bit clearer because we have all those options listed nicely on the to-do list. And when I see, okay, I have 200 things on my to-do list, I won't be able to do all of them, then it becomes clear that I have to say no again and get things off the list. While in free bustling mode, then it's always like, oh, I see this weed and I have to do that. And then there's a little bit of dust over there. And I often feel that I get into a mood where I want to write things down because I see like 50 things that need to get done. I can only do one at a time. And I might forget them. I have to do this. Let's write it down. And then I have to be strict with myself again to not write things down, but remind myself that I'm in the distraction mode where I can get distracted, but not upset that I'm not able to do everything, because that never happens. So this is basically the common denominator, being aware that we cannot have it all, but just two ways of achieving the little that we can achieve. And I haven't really figured out for myself which of those two modes is cognitively more demanding. So for my personality, the to-do list thing works pretty well. I just need the distractions sometimes to switch off and just relax a little bit. For others, it may be the reverse. Maybe you work better in a free mode and just sometimes when it gets too much, really put things down and get a little bit more organized. But it's fun to observe what works for you and when you need to switch modes, when you need to get from one type of working into another. So try it, observe yourself, become more conscious about when you are distracted and when you try to avoid distractions, and don't have a bad conscience of being distracted now and then. Honestly, this is just what it is nowadays. This is our life, this is our world. There's nothing you can really do fully against it. We live in a world of many opportunities, and that has its advantages. So don't feel bad about being distracted. This is just a natural thing. This is how human beings work. So I hope to see you next time. Hasta luego.